Welcome to Oxford News This Week. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Terry Stiles. In this week's news, M24 will be taken down to the dirt. A marijuana ordinance hearing in the village and holiday cheer comes to Oxford.
Stay tuned. Learn more about these stories and others. The Oxford News begins right now. On Tuesday, the Village of Oxford Planning Commission will host a public hearing to consider the latest draft of the proposed adult use marijuana zoning ordinance amendment. The Planning Commission will receive public input on regulations to either ban or allow adult use in recreational marijuana businesses in Oxford Village. Currently, the village has enacted a temporary ban on the business aspect while it drafts an ordinance. The ban expires on June 30th, 2020. The Commission has devoted one meeting per month to drafting the ordinance since July. The hearing will begin at 7 p.m. in the council chambers. Members of the public who wish to make a comment are encouraged to attend. The comments may also be mailed to Village of Oxford Clerk, P.O. Box 94, Oxford, Michigan, or emailed to clerk@the-Village of Oxford.
With the passing of L. Brooks Patterson last August, the county found themselves needing a new county executive, and they found one. If you want to meet the new executive, you will have a chance on January 7th from 10 to 11 a.m. at the Oxford Public Library. The library hosting a meet and greet, so you can have a chance to find out about our new county executive, David Coulter.
Former Oxford Village Council President Sue Basardic's message to the public during an informal town hall meeting about the upcoming massive M24 construction project was, quote, "We are all going to just have to deal with it," end of quote. Hosted by the Oxford Downtown Development Authority, residents and business owners packed chambers to learn more about the $25 million MDOT project beginning in March 2020. The work will span both northbound and southbound sides of M24 from Golden Gate Street in Lake Orion to Gateway Drive in Oxford Township. Basardic urged folks to be patient and pleasant during the project and, most importantly, make a plan for getting around once the orange barrels go up. Combination of new planters, new street trees, new furnishings, and a smoother road in downtown is expected to absorb and lessen the impact of the noise generated by M24 traffic, particularly the large trucks, according to DDA Director Glenn Pape, who said it's estimated the noise footprint will be reduced by about 15 decibels.
In a 7-0 vote, the Oxford Township Planning Commission voted to recommend approval by the Township Board of a preliminary planned unit development plan for a two-phase Beaumont Medical Campus in the township. The 25-acre plan will be located on 24 south of Market Street. Several townships, village, and Addison officials spoke out in favor of the plan.
And in a 4-0 vote last week, the Oxford Village Council is supporting the proposed PUD rezoning of the 25-acre parcel slated for the two-phase Beaumont project. The plans consist of a 100,000 square foot ambulatory building. Phase 2 plans are for a 7-story, 225,000 square foot hospital. If Oxford Township approves the project, the hospital can only be built if a certificate of need is granted by the state.
With Christmas around the corner, there's naturally an increase in the amount of online shopping and packages delivered to the homes. This unfortunately leads to an increase in theft as well. Having already received one reported case of packages being taken from an Oxford Township home, Oakland County Sheriff deputies are encouraging residents to track their packages and bring them inside as soon as possible once they're delivered.
Emails sent from oxfordschools.org to either yahoo.com or AOL.com accounts were blocked by Yahoo since around December 2nd. The block affects all schools in the Oxford Community Schools District and only went one way. Parents were still able to email staff from Yahoo and AOL accounts, but staff was unable to respond to those emails. Parents are advised to check their spam folders and mark emails from the district as not spam. While the snafu was in full effect, Oxford Community Schools administrators were able to communicate emergency information with those email addresses through schoolmessenger.com. Thank goodness.
The Oxford Mire was full of smiles and laughs this past week as children and adults participated in the annual Shop with a Hero event. Children were paired with first responders who volunteered their time to take the kids on a shopping spree throughout the store. They squealed with delight as they chose special items not only for themselves, but for their parents and their siblings as well. In addition to browsing the aisles, the children were able to spend extra time with the first responders over a meal donated by 24th Street Sports Tavern in downtown. Thank you for that.
The weather was good, and Washington Street was lined with holiday revelers in town for Oxford Village's annual Soup and Sweet Stroll. Businesses stayed open late, and people were able to sample warm soup and sweet treats. Students from Oxford School sang carols under the gazebo in Centennial Park. The evening commenced in a countdown to the tree lighting at 8 p.m. For photos, please pick up a copy of the Oxford Leader today.
You know, we didn't talk about the parade either in our news, but boy, that was such a great event. The day was beautiful. The streets were lined both sides with people, and there were 45 something or more floats. So it was really, kind of rivaled our Lone Ranger Parade. It was just a big deal and really turned out well.
And that was coordinated, I think, by the Chamber of Commerce director, pretty much, right?
Yeah, Amy, she did a really good job. Amy Desotel is the executive director, and all hands were on deck as far as the chamber was concerned. And then we had the sponsors. And I can't remember, if I start one sponsor right now and I miss the other ones, somebody's going to be hurt. So you'll have to watch the parade at OCTV and watch the end of it. We've got credits, and I listed all the sponsors. In addition, underneath the floats, we put graphics on who the sponsors were. But it cannot happen without everybody's help. The DPW helped. Don Brantley always makes sure we have a set there so that we can record it. And oh man, it was just a great event.
Yeah, it was. And you know, as in previous years, we have fantastic sponsors, but I think that people that pitch in to make things happen, like Don Brantley, I found equipment that he transferred. And
you set up the audio for the town, which is nice.
I drew the short straw, I think it was.
You did a good job. Jamie Hughes did the announcing for the community, which was really nice. Afterwards in the park, they had hot chocolate and cookies donated, and Santa came to the park, and all the little ones hung around and got to give their list to him. It was really fun. So watch it on OCTV. We've got it running, I think, throughout the month of December.
Yeah, I think that's true. And you know what's coming up, of course, is Christmas. And I find that...
quickly.
Yes. And people are more and more ordering gifts, you know, that go on their porch. And they have the Grinch that shows up.
Isn't that a shame?
Detected. There's new legislation that's going to take place soon to provide greater penalties for people that do that kind of thing.
Federal regulation, which is really nice. Yeah.
And those doorbell cams are great. I mean, they do capture these people, and they can't run from their own image, even though they can try.
And you know, today is the last day that you can shop online and get your package guaranteed by Christmas. So if you haven't done that, shop local, shop local, shop local. We need it this year because of the M24 reconstruct, redo for next year.
We have some great shops downtown.
Oh my
gosh. They have very unique products, so check it out.
Yeah, really. There's probably not any person you couldn't buy for downtown. In fact, I have grandkids and nephews and nieces that I need to buy for yet. I haven't done that, so look how funky monkey, here I come.
Now they're probably watching, so.
So that's it, and you have a safe holiday if I don't see you before then, but that's it for Oxford News this week. If you'd like to learn more about these stories and others, you can pick up a copy of the Oxford Leader newspaper, or better yet, you can catch us on our website at occtv.org, on YouTube, and of course our regular cable channel Spectrum 191 and AT&T channel 99.
And coming up soon, OCTV's very own Cody Wright with school sports and schooling around with great topics with River Tuck. And you won't want to miss Auto Talk and Science in the News with Dave Kenny.
I'm Terry Stiles. Thanks for watching Oxford News this week, where we bring your news closer to home.
And I'm Elgin Nichols. Remember, always be kind to your friends and neighbors. And thanks for watching.
Welcome to Oxford Community Television. We are proud that our 4 communities continue to choose local programming, local news, sports, community issues, familiar faces, celebrations, and commitment to each other. Welcome to Oxford Community Television.
Well, what's going on, Wildcat fans? Cody Wright back here for this week's Sports Report. Not a whole lot to get into this week. However, next week we will have a lot to discuss. There will be a lot of teams finally kicking off their season over the weekend here. Anyhow, let's dive in and take a look. First off, the Oxford and Avondale United hockey team secured their first win, taking down Grand Blanc 3-0 in a very physical game at the Detroit Skate Club. Like I've said previously, the boys have been playing very well so far this year. We played well, but just couldn't pull off the win, taking on West Bloomfield, Marysville, and Notre Dame Prep. But against Grand Blanc, we played hard for these straight 3 periods. We did a good job staying out of the box, although it was a rough game, so there was some penalties on both sides. But the boys now sit at 1-3 overall, and it's very early in the season. I got a good feeling about this, so we'll keep you tuned on that. By next week, we will have the scores in on both boys and girls basketball. The boys will be kicking off their season at Walled Lake Central. It's going to be an exciting season. The Townsend brothers are back, and I'm sure even better than they were last year. We did lose some great guys, but we have had a full year of development, and we've had some great players from JV coming up as well. We really look forward to that as well. Also, the girls will be taking on Armada as well on the road. So far, the girls have a 2-0 record. Not a bad start to this long sports season, so stay tuned for that. Also, the boys swim and dive team will be taking on Royal Oak here in home waters to kick off their season. We'll have more on the results next week. And lastly, the wrestling team will start their grind as well on Saturday at the Warren Woods Tower Team Tournament. We're in for a good one. Our wrestling program here at Oxford has a very successful history, and there is no telling where each year could take us. Anyhow, that's all for this week's report. For any more info on the winter sports season, go to oxfordathletics.org. There's plenty of rosters, schedules, and more all right there for you to check out. Once again, that is oxfordathletics.org. While you're at it, might as well check us out at occtv.org. All of our coverage of these events and more can be found on our YouTube page, which you can access through the website. Once again, that is occtv.org. I want to thank you all for watching and remind you all to tune in next time. But until then, I'm Cody Wright. Go Wildcats!
Do you love local sports? Whether it's Oxford High School or Parks and Rec, you can buy copies of each game. To purchase your copy, call us at 248-628-9658 or give us an email at manager@occtv.org or talk to us at the next game. Hopefully we'll see you there.
Hello Oxford, and welcome back to another installment of your Oxford Community School News. This week we are going to cover concerts, sports, and all of the holiday cheer you've been waiting all year for. Speaking of holiday cheer, the Oxford Christmas Parade was last Saturday, and what a great day for the community in and around Oxford. People from all over were in for the parade. My family was in from Rochester to watch. The Clarkston Band marched in the parade. Santa, of course, was in from the North Pole to visit. In the parade, we had appearances from our first responders all the way down to our local Girl and Boy Scout troops. The whole community came out for a great day of holiday fun and festivities. Go ahead and take a look at some footage from that day. What are you gonna ask Santa for Christmas?
A scooter.
A scooter? Nice. Have you been playing with these reindeer right behind us? Yeah.
snapshot of these reindeer right here. All the kids out here playing with these.
You guys excited? What are you gonna ask? What are you gonna ask Santa for?
I don't know.
You know?
A remote controller car.
A remote control car? Nice. What are you gonna ask Santa for?
LOL.
What are you gonna ask Santa?
I asked Santa that a toy car that you can drive in.
Not a problem. Yep,
What do you do to exercise the knee for all the?
It's mostly just getting up and down off the sleigh all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Keeps me in shape.
That makes sense.
Yep. Other than that, I don't get too much exercise. Up and down off the sleigh and cookies.
And cookies.
Cookies and milk.
I think it's the loop-de-loop that he does.
Yeah?
Because it takes all the pressure off of his knee.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. You gotta keep flexible.
This is my favorite part of today.
Really glad I was able to keep warm out there that day. I was even happier though to speak with some of our bright young minds here in Oxford. As you saw, we had dancers and troop members who walked in the parade, as well as those who viewed and gave us some insight on their favorite floats, which overwhelmingly were in favor of the man in the red suit. Speaking of the man, I also got to speak with Santa, as you just saw, who gave Oxford an outstanding commendation on our scholarly abilities. Coming from a man who visits the whole world in one night, I'd say that's a pretty good word for Oxford schools. Oxford Schools, in that holiday spirit, has barreled through its pre-holiday concert season, with concerts all last week from the elementaries around the district, as well as the 5th and 6th grade band concert being held last week. There has been no shortage of song here in Oxford this holiday season. In case you or any of your loved ones were unable to make one of these concerts, we have all of the concerts we were able to cover this year up on our Facebook or YouTube pages at Oxford Community Television. For your viewing pleasure, let's take a look at a recap of all of those performances right now.
Can you stop dead? Can you swing sword? Can you give speech with a single word? Our voice to sail, can you dig a trench? And can you stand the stench? So you wanna be a pirate? Yeah, you wanna be a pirate? Can you follow me? N-I-R-T. We're making a mess with the song you still beat. S-N-I-R-T. And you can have her money 'cause she rests on me. Just take a little something.
If you're like me and can't get enough of all of the concerts here in Oxford, you are in luck, as we are heading into yet another week of concerts ahead. Looking into this week, Monday, Oxford Middle School kicks off their pre-break Spirit Week with a comfy cozy day. What a great idea for a Monday. Later that night, the OHS Wind Ensemble and 8th grade band concert will take the stage from 6:30 to 7:30. On Tuesday, the OHS and OMS Orchestra will take that same stage from 7 to 8. The fun at the Performing Arts Center doesn't stop there, as Wednesday, the Super Singers Concert will take place from 7 to 8 p.m. on that same stage. Thursday, the choir will ring as all of the Oxford Middle School choirs take the stage at that Performing Arts Center from 6 to 8 p.m. Wrapping up the week, all of the elementary schools in the district will be taking off early as their holiday break starts with an early release on Friday. As we roll into holiday break here in Oxford and the kids are home until next year, just a reminder that the fun doesn't stop here in Oxford. The Oxford Public Library is holding events almost every week that you and the family can get involved in, as well as great events around town like our holiday soup and sweet stroll that was a great success just last week. Keep your ears to the ground and your eyes on our Facebook page and this channel right here for all of the ways you can make the most out of your holidays here in Oxford. I've been River Tuck for your Oxford School News. Until next time, Oxford.
Welcome to Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny, and these stories are taken from the publication New Scientist. In our first story, Google has used its record-breaking quantum computer to complete the biggest quantum chemistry simulation ever, modeling the behavior of a long chain of hydrogen atoms. The simulation of large molecules is one of the main expected applications of quantum computers in the near future. Such molecules are difficult to fully understand using classical computers. The largest we can simulate accurately is pentacene, which contains 22 carbon atoms and 14 hydrogen atoms, says Jamie Garcia at IBM. As molecules get larger, they very quickly get out of the realm of what you can simulate with classical computers, he says. Quantum computers use quantum bits or qubits that exploit the properties of quantum physics to perform their calculations. The atoms are quantum, the computer is quantum, we're using quantum to simulate quantum, says Linghua Zhu at Virginia Tech, who was not involved in the work. When we use classical methods, we always use approximations, but with a quantum computer, it's possible to exactly know how each atom is interacting with the other, says Zhu. Until now, the largest molecule simulated with a quantum computer was beryllium hydride, which is one beryllium atom and 2 hydrogen atoms, says Zhu. But at the QB conference in California on December 10th, Google's head of quantum algorithms, Ryan Babush, announced his team had managed to simulate a much larger molecule, a chain of 12 hydrogen atoms. That's a result that we're pretty excited about because this is more than double the number of qubits and the number of electrons as any prior quantum chemistry simulation, and it had the same level of accuracy, said Babush. The team used the same Sycamore quantum computer recently used to achieve quantum supremacy, a calculation not possible on an ordinary computer, but didn't use all the qubits for the chemistry simulation, he said. While this type of hydrogen molecule doesn't actually exist in nature, chains of hydrogen atoms are commonly simulated in quantum chemistry because they are relatively simple systems that are easy to add to, Babush said. This isn't a calculation that would be impossible for best classical computers, but it demonstrates the strength of Google's quantum computer, Zhu says. And the next important story, scientists found out that tapping a beer can is a time-honored way to stop it fizzing over when you open it. But does it work? Sadly not, according to researchers who carried out a randomized trial to find out. There is a theoretical rationale for tapping your brew. Bubbles of carbon dioxide form on the inner surface of a shaken can. But when it's opened and depressurized, the bubbles swell and rise to the surface, taking precious beer with them. Tapping the can, some proponents say, dislodges bubbles from the sides of the can, making them rise to the top where they won't expel beer when the can is opened. Being a scientist, I always wanted to know whether it actually has an effect, says Elisabetta Sopina at the University of Southern Denmark. She and her colleagues approached drinks from Carlsberg to supply beer for the experiment. It provided more than 1,330 milliliter cans, but had no involvement in the study, design, or analysis. Half of the cans were put on a mechanical shaker for 2 minutes with a level of vigor intended to simulate being transported on a bicycle. Half of the cans in the shaken and unshaken groups were tapped by flicking them on the side 3 times. The testers who opened the cans didn't know whether they had been shaken or tapped. The cans were weighed before and after opening to measure how much beer escaped. The unspilt beer didn't go to waste. It was offered to staff and students at the university along with snacks. The shaken cans lost an average of 3.45 grams of beer on opening, compared with 0.51 grams for unshaken cans. However, tapping the can didn't make a significant difference to how much beer was lost. This suggests that for beer cans shaken this way, tapping or flicking doesn't help bubbles rise to the top, Sapina says. And that may be because beer contains barley proteins that stabilize bubbles, a process that helps to create the foam head in a glass of beer. These proteins may prevent bubbles from rising to the top of the can. It remains to be seen whether tapping might help other carbonized drinks. For beer drinkers anxious to avoid wastage, the best strategy is not to rush things, says Sapina. If you want to save your beer, let it settle. Well, that's it for this edition of Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny. Stay tuned to Oxford Community Television. Welcome to this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and these stories are taken from the publication Automotive News. In our first story, the CEO of autonomous vehicle company Cruise signaled in a blog post on December 11th that the General Motors subsidiary intends to offer shared rides at a radically lower price as part of a bid to move eventually beyond the car. Dan Ammann, the former president of GM and now the CEO of Cruise, wrote in a blog post that to make order of magnitude rather than incremental improvements in transportation, transportation, we need to build alternatives that are superior to the status quo in every way. The Post was headlined, "We need to move beyond the car." Cruise's mission, he said, is to reduce congestion through making shared rides more compelling by providing an awesome experience at a radically lower cost. Only then will we truly move beyond the car to the transportation system that we deserve, he says. Cruise, on December 11th, said it would offer more details at an event in San Francisco on January 21st. Cruise previously announced a partnership with Honda to develop a purpose-built autonomous vehicle for use in ride sharing. Honda is a minority investor in Cruise. Alphabet Inc.'s Waymo is already providing ride-sharing services in Arizona in partnership with Lyft. And at VW, Volkswagen's refreshed 2021 Atlas crossover will pick up many of the styling and technological refinements the German automaker revealed this fall when it showed the Atlas's new two-row derivative, the Atlas Cross Sport. But it's the first new product to benefit from a new, shorter product cycle Volkswagen will use to keep its U.S. vehicles up to date. Heinz Schaefer, Vice President of Product Marketing for Volkswagen of America, says the refresh just 3 years into the Atlas's life cycle is part of a strategy to keep its most popular U.S. products, including the Atlas and Tiguan crossovers, top of mind with consumers. The refreshed 2021 Atlas, which will be shown at the Chicago Auto Show in February, features a new front facade and updated LED lighting front and rear on all trim levels. Inside, the new three-row crossover will receive an upgraded infotainment system with added app-based functionality, as well as new driver assistant features such as traffic jam assist, which uses lane keeping and adaptive cruise control to aid drivers during low-speed, heavy traffic situations. Similar features were announced for the two-row 2021 Atlas Cross Sport when it went into production this fall. Volkswagen dealers are expected to begin receiving their first Atlas Cross Sport models beginning in March, while the refreshed Atlas should be in showrooms by May, Schaefer said. And over at Mercedes-Benz second-generation GLA entry-level crossover is getting a beefier engine, roomier interior, and a tech upgrade to serve as a conquest vehicle in its segment. The 2021 GLA 250 will arrive in U.S. stores in the summer of 2020, followed by a Mercedes AMG GLA 35 variant late next year. The GLA nameplate, the sporty alternative to the practical GLB, illustrates how Mercedes-Benz has been attracting its next generation of customers. The GLA targets millennials before they have a family, said Sam Fiorani, Vice President of Auto Forecast Solutions. Where their parents would have purchased a coupe, today's aspiring professionals look to stylish utilities before moving up to the bigger models when their own kids arrive, Fiorani said. The 2021 GLA 250 is powered by a new 2-liter inline-4 turbocharged engine that boosts output while lowering emissions. The updated engine delivers 221 horsepower, an increase of 13 horsepower compared with its predecessor. The GLA has a top speed of 130 miles per hour and can go from 0 to 60 in 8.6 seconds. A higher performance AMG derivative delivers 302 horsepower and can go from 0 to 60 in 5 seconds. The latest GLA provides more interior space than its first generation for hauling people and their weekend bags. It is 4.1 inches higher than its predecessor, but 0.6 inch longer, or shorter that is, in length, offering more headroom in the front and more legroom in the back. More design changes include an updated front section, short overhangs at the front and rear, and protective cladding. The dashboard is anchored by a freestanding display unit available with either two 7-inch displays or two 10.25-inch displays. The GLA, like the brand's newer models, features the Mercedes-Benz User Experience, or MBUX, infotainment system. The model also offers a suite of driver assistance systems, including active steering assist, active lane keeping assist, and active blind spot assist. The GLA competes with the Audi Q3 and BMW X1. Well, that's it for this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and as always, may the wind be at your back as you cruise down life's highways.